Right now, somewhere in your neighborhood, someone is pulling up their tomato plants, tossing the last of their wilted squash vines onto the compost pile, and telling themselves the gardening season is basically over. Maybe you have been thinking the same thing. July feels like the tail end of the growing year. The excitement of spring planting is long gone. The big summer harvests are winding down, and the natural instinct is to start wrapping things up and waiting for next year. But here is what experienced gardeners know that most people never figure out. July is not the end of the growing season. It is actually the beginning of one of the most productive and rewarding planting windows of the entire year. When you plant in July, your seeds go into warm soil that has been building heat all summer long. They germinate faster than almost any other time of year. And then, just as your plants are hitting their stride, something remarkable happens. The temperatures begin to drop. The days get shorter. And certain vegetables do something extraordinary. They start converting the starches stored inside them into natural sugars to protect themselves from the cold. Carrots become sweeter. Kale loses its bitterness almost entirely. Cabbage gets crisper and tighter. And Brussels sprouts go from slightly sharp tasting to nutty, rich, and genuinely delicious. Some of these vegetables do not just tolerate the first frost. They actually need it to reach their best flavor. In this video, I am going to walk you through of the best vegetables you can plant right now in July. Some will be ready in just a few weeks. Some are planted now to reach their peak right around Thanksgiving. And some become sweeter the colder the weather gets. Whether you are in zone in the Midwest or zone by in the South, there is something on this list for your garden. If you are new here, this channel is all about practical, honest gardening advice that actually works. So let us get started. Number 1 is beans. Most people plant beans once in spring, get one big harvest, and call it done. What experienced gardeners do instead is called succession sowing. Plant a short row every second of stays throughout July and into early August, and instead of 1 pound of beans ready on the same afternoon, you get a steady supply of fresh, crisp pods week after week, right up until frost. July is actually ideal for beans because they love warm soil and germinate incredibly fast this time of year. Plant them about inches deep so the seeds stay moist in the drying summer heat. For pole beans, Blue Lake is a dependable classic. For bush beans, try Jade, Provider, or Strike. Most begin producing in 6 to 11 days. Just count backward from your first frost date before your final sowing to make sure every planting has time to finish. Number 2 is cucumbers. If your spring cucumbers were wiped out by beetles or disease, July gives you a genuine second chance, and that second planting often does better than the first. The most intense pest pressure hits early season plantings hardest. By midsummer, much of that pressure has eased, and fresh cucumbers go into warm, clean soil and grow fast. Most varieties produce in about 1 to 11 days. The single most important thing with July cucumbers is water. When a cucumber plant dries out while forming fruit, those cucumbers turn bitter, and that bitterness does not go away at harvest. Water deeply and keep moisture consistent around the root zone, especially during flowering. Good varieties include homemade pickles for pickling, Sumter or Dasher for fresh eating, and bush pickle for smaller spaces. Number 3 is zucchini. By midsummer, your spring zucchini plants are probably already struggling with powdery mildew or collapsing from squash vine borers. A fresh July planting steps right past that first wave of damage. In about 1 to 11 days, you will have fresh zucchini again, producing right through fall. Give plants plenty of spacing, so air moves freely between the leaves and mildew has a harder time spreading. And harvest, while fruits are still small and young. Every time you pick one, the plant produces another flower and another fruit. With just ursan plants, that simple habit feeds a family for weeks. Good variety choices are Black Beauty for green zucchini, Early Summer Crookneck for yellow squash, and Spineless Beauty if you want nearly thornless stems. Number 4 is radishes, the fastest crop on this entire list. Depending on the variety, you can go from seed to harvest in as little as 2 to 6 days. Sow a short row every 2 weeks through July and August for a continuous supply. And here is something most gardeners never discover. If the heat gets too intense and your radish roots refuse to size up, do not pull the plants. Let them flower. They will produce small green seed pods that are crisp, mildly spicy, and delicious raw or in a stir-fry. The flowers also bring pollinators into your garden in large numbers. For late July, consider sowing daikon radish for large, mild roots that store well through fall. Varieties like German Giant, Fireball, and Perfecto are all solid choices for midsummer sowing. Number 5 is carrots, and this one might genuinely surprise you. If you have only ever eaten carrots harvested in summer heat, you have not yet tasted what a carrot is truly capable of. When fall temperatures drop, the plant converts stored starches into natural sugars to protect itself from the cold. The result is a carrot that is noticeably sweeter, deeper in flavor, and crisper than anything pulled from summer soil. The challenge with July carrots is germination. The soil surface dries out fast in the heat, and if it dries even once before your seeds sprout, the row may barely come up. The fix is simple. After sowing, cover the bed with about 8 inches of dry straw to hold moisture and cool the surface. Once seedlings emerge, pull the straw aside. Also, try mixing carrot seeds with a little dry sand before sowing to distribute them more evenly. Then to about 1 inch apart. Good varieties are Nance for sweetness, Little Fingers for early small roots, and Tendersweet for long uniform roots. Number 6 is beets, and beets give you something almost no other crop can. When you sow beets in July, you are growing 2 vegetables at once. The young leaves above ground are already tender and flavorful within weeks and can be harvested like any other green, while the root keeps developing below. Like carrots, beets also become sweeter as temperatures drop in fall, so patience pays off here. One thing that catches many gardeners off guard is that each beet seed is actually a cluster of seeds with a coating that slows germination. Soak your seeds in water for about 6 hours before sowing to soften that coating and get much more even sprouting. Thin seedlings to about 8 inches apart, and use those thinnings in a salad. Detroit Dark Red is the most trusted variety for a fall crop, known for its deep color, consistent sweetness, and strong performance. Number 7 is lettuce, and yes, you absolutely can grow beautiful lettuce in July if you understand 3 things. First, shade. Lettuce is not afraid of July. It is afraid of too much direct heat. A shade cloth with 1 to 2 6% coverage, or the natural shade of taller plants nearby, keeps temperatures manageable. Second, seeding depth. Lettuce seeds need light to germinate. Cover them with no more than 1/4 of an inch of soil, or they may simply never sprout. Third, variety selection. Choose heat-tolerant varieties like Buttercrunch, Summertime, Skyphos, or Salanova Butterhead, which are specifically bred to keep growing in conditions that cause ordinary lettuce to bolt immediately. Get those 3 things right and your garden keeps producing fresh, crisp salad greens every week, while your neighbors have already given up on lettuce until fall. Number 8 is kale. If you have tried kale in summer and found it tough and bitter, here is the truth. You did not dislike kale. You ate it at the wrong time. When fall temperatures drop, kale converts starches into natural sugars the same way carrots and beets do. The result is a leaf that becomes softer, noticeably sweeter, and almost completely free of bitterness. The ideal sowing window is mid-July through mid-August. Harvest outer leaves as you need them, and the plant keeps producing new growth from the center for many weeks, sometimes right through the first snow. Reliable varieties include Lacinato, also known as Dinosaur Kale, Blue Curled Scotch, and Premier. Every frost that passes over your kale makes the flavor a little better. That is genuinely rare to be able to say about any vegetable. Number 9 is broccoli, and the most common mistake people make is trying to grow it for a summer harvest. Broccoli is a cool season crop. When heads form in hot weather, they come in small, loose, and bitter. Plant in July with the goal of harvesting in fall, when cool air is exactly what broccoli needs to form tight, dense, flavorful heads. Count backward to sure weeks from your expected first frost date to time your planting correctly. Because broccoli seeds struggle to germinate in very hot soil, start seeds in trays indoors or in a cooler spot and transplant once seedlings are strong. For variety, Green Magic, Pac-Man, and Avenger are dependable heading types. If you want multiple harvests from one plant, try Aspabrock, a sprouting variety that keeps producing side shoots for weeks after the main head is cut. Number 10 is cabbage. Few vegetables match cabbage for one simple reason. A firm head harvested in late fall can store for months, feeding your family well into winter long after everything else in your garden is gone. Plant in July so the heading stage happens in cool fall weather, which is when cabbage forms its tightest, most flavorful heads. Heads that develop in summer heat tend to split or bolt before you can harvest them. Light frost actually improves the flavor, softening sharpness and bringing out natural sweetness. After harvest, store heads around -4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit, and they will hold excellent quality for several months. Champion and Top Bunch are both reliable variety choices for July planting. Number 11 is Brussels sprouts, and this is the crop that teaches you what patience in the garden truly means. Brussels sprouts need about basher to eBay days from transplant to harvest, which is exactly why July is the right and essentially only time to plant them for a fall crop. Plant too late and the cold arrives before the sprouts have time to fill out. But plant now, and something wonderful unfolds. Before frost, Brussels sprouts can taste somewhat strong and sharp. After the first frost moves through, the plant converts its starches to sugars, and the sprouts become nutty, rich, and genuinely sweet. This is why so many gardeners deliberately leave their plants in the ground after frost rather than rushing to harvest. There is something especially satisfying about bringing Brussels sprouts to your Thanksgiving table knowing the cold weather itself made them taste that good. Give each plant Shaba to Archer inches of space and keep moisture consistent throughout the season. Reliable varieties for July planting include Long Island Improved, Gustus, Toby, and Franklin. And number 12 is Swiss chard, the most dependable vegetable on this entire list. Swiss chard keeps growing through summer heat that causes lettuce to bolt and spinach to turn bitter. It keeps growing when fall temperatures drop and other greens begin to struggle. That rare tolerance for both ends of the temperature range makes it one of the most reliable crops you can put in a July garden. Harvest outer leaves regularly, and the center keeps pushing out fresh new growth within days, repeating week after week, sometimes all the way into early winter. Colorful stem varieties like Bright Lights produce a stunning mix of red, yellow, orange, and pink stems that look more like a flower border than a vegetable bed from a distance. For high yield, choose Ford Hook Giant. For beauty alongside your harvest, Bright Lights or Ruby Red will bring real color to your garden right through the end of the season. Sow seeds about 1 inch deep and thin to low inches apart. So there you have it. She's vegetables that prove July is one of the most valuable planting opportunities of the entire year. Think of them in 3 simple groups. Beans, cucumbers, zucchini, and radishes are your quick wins, giving you harvests in just a few weeks. Carrots, beets, lettuce, and kale are your fall flavor crops, planted now but reaching their best after the weather changes. And broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and Swiss chard are your long-game crops, the ones that take patience but carry your kitchen through fall and deep into winter. Before you plant anything, take Century Seconds and look up your average first frost date by zip code on the Old Farmer's Almanac website. It is free, and it tells you exactly how much growing time you have left. That one number will help you choose the right crops for your zone and make sure everything you plant has time to finish strong. I would love to hear from you. Which of these are you planting this July? Drop it in the comments below. And if this video changed the way you think about the second half of your growing season, please share it with a gardening friend who might still think July is too late. If you want practical gardening content every week, subscribing is the easiest way to stay connected. Your garden still has so much left to give this year. July is not the end. It is your second chance. And sometimes the second chance turns out to be the better one.